This week, we should have been all gathering together at the FAUBAI International Conference in Belo Horizonte. Unfortunately, this is not to be, but I congratulate FAUBAI on the initiative of asking partners to share thoughts about how internationalization of higher education will move forward as from today. Now, we all know that mobility is not the be-all and end-all of internationalization, important as it is, and that we are all scrabbling around to look at ways in which we can engage more effectively at distance without traveling from one country to another. The really important thing is that COVID-19 will give an impulse to us to pursue these different methods of being able to communicate together and to work together through internationalization. Now, I think that there are some key challenges that we have that we need to face in the next few months. One is the increasing inequality between students, between those who can afford to attend universities and those who need bursaries and who would need to stay at home during this time, either because they have aging parents or they have children to look after. So this is all a really important point. The second is that undoubtedly, both in the UK and in Brazil, there will be a potential reduction in funding for higher education and research as governments prioritize the dealing with the effects of COVID-19. And the third will be the potential overall increase in poverty and inequality and the reduction in productivity which COVID-19 will undoubtedly bring in its wake, with no doubt one of the worst recessions that we will have seen since the 1930s. So universities have big challenges here. They too need to step up to the plate to be able to deal with the COVID-19 crisis, not just in terms of their own finances, but in terms of the research that they now do, which should be over a broad canvas of areas that will actually help governments and peoples to deal with this crisis that we find ourselves in. And that sort of research should be international, it should be across country boundaries, and it should be across disciplines, so that we can actually start to understand the effects that COVID-19 will have, not just on our health, but on our supply chains, on the types of medical care available to people in all strata of society, and the impacts that it will have as we look towards how we're going to reconcile what's happened in all this with the challenge that we face with climate change. I think it'll be difficult to say what the new mobility patterns will be. I think they will be much fewer. I think there will be a huge impetus towards online teaching, online research, and other methods that do not require people to be jumping in and out of airplanes every 5 minutes. Overall, we need to be better at telling the stories, particularly, well, I think in both, I was going to say particularly in science, but I think both in science and in humanities. Science and humanities have been under attack in a number of countries, and Brazil is no exception. But they all, both science and humanities, have a really important part to play in the future as we shape the post-COVID-19 world. I think that's really most of what I want to say. I would say that although we're all going to go through a rough time, both in the higher education sector in the UK and I'm sure in the higher education and research sector in Brazil, we have to keep our eyes on the prize, on the future prize of doubling or trebling our current links between the UK and Brazil, and in ensuring that research and teaching are kept up to the highest quality standards possible, and that we use internationalization to drive quality standards in education, both in the UK and in Brazil. The British Council stands ready to play its part in driving forward the internationalization agenda in Brazil through our Universities for the World initiative. We have been doing this over the past 3 to 4 years, and it's our intention that we do so along with partners such as FAUBAI and CAPES, that we get on with this job. The other thing that I think is really important that we should do is that we should pay attention to gender. This is really important for the future, that we have equality between the sexes and that we have the ability of poorer people and their talent to be used in our universities. I'm going to stop there, but I would like to thank FAUBAI very much for the initiative and wish them and all our colleagues well for the future. Many thanks.